We are live. Um, I want to say thank you to everyone for joining us this evening. First of all, welcome to Indianapolis, the Hoosier State. First of all, I want to say that because you are here in my hometown. Who am I? LeRoy Lewis III. I am going to be your moderator for the evening, part of the local organizing committee here for the Horizon League Championship, but definitely a fan of basketball. Unfortunately, being 5'10" and a half, I was not able to be a basketball player in college, but I did play football. So I do have some understanding and knowledge of being a college athlete. But here in Indianapolis, we are all basketball, especially right now. And we're kicking off March Madness with the Horizon League Championship. And we are excited about you being here. And congratulations for all of you having the opportunity to compete for the Horizon League Championship and possibly punch your ticket to go to the big dance, which will also be here in Indianapolis. Thank you so much again for being here. Again, LeRoy Lewis, Indianapolis, Indiana, born and bred. Community relations and health promotion is my profession here in the city of Indianapolis with one of our hospitals. But enough about me. We're here to hang with the Commish, and we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to get any questions asked and to speak with our commissioner of the Horizon League. So, Julie Roe Lach, I want to introduce you to the young men and women that will be playing for the Horizon League Championship.
Thank you, LeRoy, and thank you so much for just your leadership on our local organizing committee and your willingness to spend some time with us on Saturday night, LeRoy. We appreciate that. And to our student athletes and coaches watching, congratulations. We are so excited, as LeRoy said, to welcome you to Indianapolis. Obviously, this has been a long, challenging season. We're so proud of just the number of games we've been able to play, the safety protocols that you all have followed, and now to culminate here with our semifinals and championship in a couple days. Frankly, we couldn't be more excited. I'm coming to you live, by the way, from the Coliseum. The court is set, it's ready. We've got the ribbon boards, the LEDs a little bright back there, but it's on too. We are ready to play some basketball here at the Coliseum, just a few miles from where our student athletes are staying tonight downtown at the Sheraton.
Awesome. Now, I just want all the attendees to know that you can ask questions throughout the time that we have together. Just go into the Q&A portion of the platform, type in your question, and I'll get that asked for you with our commissioner. Or you can raise your hand also down on the platform. Just raise your hand and let me know who you are, type in your name, and let me know who you are and where you're representing, and I'll make sure that your questions get asked. Julie, now this is somewhat of a new position for you. So you just took over this year as commissioner. So please tell us what it's like to be the commissioner of the Horizon League. What's the day-to-day like of being that commissioner?
Well, it's nothing short of exciting, but it's definitely been challenging too. As a lot of other commissioners have said to me, you picked a heck of a time to start in this position. But I've been with the Horizon League since 2014 in the deputy commissioner role. So I've really come to love the Horizon League. I'm inspired by our student athletes and our coaches and our administrators and what they do and how they do it. And so when Commissioner LeCrone was ready to transition to an advisor role, I was really honored that our presidents selected me to step into this role. And no day is the same, LeRoy, probably much like most jobs. I'm sure it's like yours. But I can tell you the one thing that is the same every day is we've been really singularly focused on trying to provide safe competition this year. And then now, starting last week, we held our first indoor track championship cross country this past Thursday. And now we've got men's and women's basketball. So we are going to have a busy spring, and that's the way we like it, is to being able to host competition.
Exactly. That's the whole point of being in college athlete, is to make sure that you actually get to compete and compete against some good competition. We do know that you're starting out this year as the commissioner, but what some of our attendees may not know is that you're just one of 5 female commissioners in the NCAA Division I area. So tell us what it's like and how what it means to you to be just one of five females that are leading conferences in a Division I area.
It's certainly an honor. I'll say that. And I've had a lot of mentors, both female and male, along the way that I'm standing on their shoulders. That's for sure. A lot of people have paved the way for me to be here. And as you said, there have been other female commissioners. There's FBS female commissioners and some really strong, like Val Ackerman at the Big East. She's a role model of mine, and she came from the NBA and then started the WNBA. So to see people do what so many men and women have done before me is a real inspiration and frankly responsibility to try to just do the best I can every day.
Awesome. And listen, I think that it is a testament to you and your leadership for the presidents to choose you as the next leader of the Horizon League. So definitely want to make sure that we say thank you and we appreciate you specifically from the local organizing committee and what you've done so far for the Horizon League championship for basketball, but what you're doing for all of the sports with Horizon League. However, the Horizon League is the Horizon League. Some people are not familiar with some of the schools and the Horizon League itself. So what kind of differentiates the Horizon League from what some of the other Division I conferences?
Well, as I love to say, because I'm a Midwesterner, I don't know if our folks know that, but I grew up in Illinois in a small town, very much a basketball town, much like the movie Hoosiers. And we are a Midwestern conference, but we've grown of late, and we've been excited to add Robert Morse and Purdue Fort Wayne. So now we stretch all the way east to Pittsburgh, and we still go all the way north to Green Bay and south to Northern Kentucky. So we've got a strong 7-state Midwestern footprint with some in some major urban markets, with 10 public universities and 2 privates, which is good, I think, to have that diversity and the diverse thought that brings into our rooms. But I think what makes the Horizon League different than any other conference that brings together schools to compete is, at least 4 to 5 pillars that we talk about. One is innovation. We started the first digital network back in 2006. And I say I wasn't part of the Horizon League team at that point. That was all John LeCrone and prior staff. But before any conference had a digital network, Horizon League was first in line, waved our hand and launched the Horizon League network. That's why I think even this year, we're going to hit over 550 events to ESPN Plus and ESPN3. And I love this stat, LeRoy. In 2019-20, when we didn't even have spring sports, as we all know, unfortunately, we still had 20 million minutes of competition watched on ESPN3 and ESPN Plus. So I know this is going to be a record year, and we're going to max out over the 4 months that we're playing competition. But that innovation piece, I think, has been really strong. Another piece is we were the first, and we like to be the first, especially when it's good things. We were the first conference to join WeCoach. And WeCoach is a national organization that tries to recruit and keep women in coaching, which is an important passion for me because my college coach was a female and a strong role model for me. And I think that's important to have both male and females in the coaching profession. And another big piece is we do have major reach and visibility because of where our schools are located. We've got some top television markets. I'm going to look at my notes here. We have 10 schools in top 70 media markets. That's a pretty major reach that we're able to have for when we do have games on linear like ESPN2 and ESPNU. So we're able to really reach a lot of households just by the sheer position of where our schools are.
Awesome. Now, I think that our attendees are so excited about being able to watch some great basketball early in March. And again, the Horizon League, we pride ourselves on being the first tournament here in Indianapolis. So congratulations again for that. Some of the attendees have not necessarily asked questions, but wanted to say a thank you for definitely having the championship and having it during these weird and crazy times. Can you tell us some of the challenges you might have had as the commissioner, making sure that we had a season, but then also how some of the possible challenges that we've had to endure in making sure that the championship came to pass?
Yeah, I think any challenge that I've had has been, I'm sure, experienced tenfold by our student athletes and coaches. So I appreciate the thanks. I saw a couple of incredible comments in the chat, but I come back to you all tenfold because Our student athletes and coaches are the ones that have had to quarantine from time to time over the season. They're the ones who've had to really stay disciplined in order to stay safe and mask up and socially distance, even when I'm sure as a college student that wasn't that top of their priority list to do so, and undergo testing multiple times a week. So I think that's probably been the hardest challenge, is just a commitment to live differently, frankly, so that we could stay safe. And then I think on the administrative side, some of the tough challenges have been when we did have to redo some matchups because a team had to quarantine, just figuring out what's the most fair thing we can do here to, one, allow the teams that are healthy to play each other, and then just figuring out where and when that all needs to happen. Of course, it wasn't perfect, but we were, I think at the end of the day, LeRoy, we were men's and women's combined. We played about 87 or 88% of our planned games, which that's a high B. I'd rather have an A, but
Yeah.
we'll take it considering the challenges we've had. And, I credit our presidents. They came together last fall and said, we need a plan. We need a safety plan, and then we'll figure out the scheduling plan. But let's get safety first, and then we'll figure
Yeah.
out how we're going to make these games happen. And that's what our athletics directors and coaches stepped up and helped us figure out.
That's awesome. And I think that speaking as a student athlete, again, we want to compete, right? We want to be
Right.
a part of the competition and have the chance to say that we made it through the season, but we also ended up champions. So I know that a lot of the student athletes are appreciative of having the opportunity to even play. Speaking of play, we had some great games this past week and in our quarterfinals, and those teams are commended on the great competition that they put in. I guess one has triple overtime, a last buzzer. I mean, it was basketball and March Madness at its finest. Have you heard anything from anyone regarding the quarterfinals and how people have been taking those victories and even some of those defeats? But have you heard much coming out about those quarterfinal games?
Well, from people who are fans of the Horizon League, just nothing but praise for just the grit that we saw. I mean,
Yeah.
to be in a quarterfinal game and for that game to go to overtime, which 6 of our teams experienced. And as you mentioned, the Cleveland State game, Purdue Fort Wayne went to triple overtime, and that was after Purdue Fort Wayne had taken Green Bay to double overtime and upset them at Green Bay. So I mean,
Wow.
it's the grit and just passion that all of our teams showed was amazing. At Northern Kentucky not giving up when they were down to
Yeah.
Detroit and had to give the 3 fouls just to put Detroit on the line, and then to come down, and I think they had 2 offensive rebounds before they tipped it in at the buzzer. I mean, it was on the men's side, we had some incredible excitement, but I think what people saw more than anything was they were leaving it all on the court.
Yes.
And when you play whatever sport it is in basketball, you want to just walk away and know you left it all on the court. And when you watch those games, men and women, on Tuesday night, and Tuesday day as the women started, that's what you saw. They were, without a doubt, every team was going to leave it on the court. And that's why it's so inspiring and awesome to have the job that we have, is to provide that opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much again for sharing your thoughts on that. Watching those games and highlights was, I was rooting for anyone, just rooting for a great game, and definitely got those. For our attendees, I do want to remind you, put in questions for our commissioner. She is willing to answer your questions. Don't be shy. Make sure that you put them in there, and we'll get them asked for you, so that we can get a great dialogue with Mrs. Lash, I'm sorry, and make sure that you get all the questions you want answered. And again, not every student athlete has a chance to communicate and hang with the commish. So this is a great opportunity for us to be able to do so. So don't be shy, ask your questions, and Julie will be gracious enough to answer them for you. I will say, Julie, last year, 2020, was a year of tremendous ups and downs and mostly downs for many individuals in the United States. Politically, socially, health-wise. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on. With the Horizon League, I know you only took the commissioner's spot at the beginning of this year, but you have been with us for a number of years. how has the Horizon League dealt with some of the social justice issues that might have come through some of the racial inequities that happened in the last 12 months or so?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that question. So last spring, and I say I think that the real turning point for many and just pivotal point was George Floyd's death. And prior to that, I remember as a Horizon Lake staff, just when we were in the COVID space of trying to frankly find hope and find unity with our members, we had talked about this notion of we are all one team. And now you see that on our website. And we launched that more around how do we come together and start to put together this best practices, this safety plan. We formed a medical group just with the point that we really are one team. Yes, we compete like heck against each other, but at the end of the day, we really are one team.
Mm.
And that all was before George Floyd's death, which then of course, safety and the COVID was still there, but it was all of the focus turned to what can we do from a social justice standpoint, knowing that sports is such a powerful platform. And we met with our student athletes on Zoom because obviously we couldn't meet in person. We met with our coaches, and we just had some very candid conversations across different groups, our senior women administrators, our faculty groups, our presidents. And many of the calls were just to check in with how are you doing, and then sharing different experiences that people have had. And that's where really our presidents and our student athletes independently agreed that our student athletes needed to lead the next movement, which really goes to show we are all one team. And that really was the genesis for 1HL. And now, in fact, as part of this video series, we've relaunched the 1HL video series, where we had student athletes, administrators. We have a trustee from Youngstown who's a former police officer turned CEO, and talked about his experiences as a Black policeman. And we've had different faculty members who really work in this racial justice space, give how do you have honest conversations, and then how do you do something about it. So we've really looked to that student athlete group, and that was their first cause, was just launching a video series to then watch on campus and spark conversation. And then they grouped together as we were coming upon the election in November and did the vote. And then we had a great video inspiring everyone to register to vote. And we were trying to get the vote out. And I don't know if we got the 100%. I think some teams did. I think Purdue Fort Wayne men's basketball might have led that charge. But there was a lot of different energy. And that group then came together and was behind the effort that also Coach Dennis Gates from Cleveland State led, which was to really lift up Coach John McGlendon, who was the first Black coach hired at a predominantly white institution, which happened to be Cleveland State back in the 50s. So we launched our first annual John McGlendon Day in February as part of Black History Month. And that actually was the same day that Cleveland State was playing Detroit on ESPN 2 or U. So that worked out because we were able to also lift up the efforts there. And those are just some of the pieces that we've done, but it's not just the doing. Now we've got to figure out how do we take this recognition and awareness and then continue to be a force for change. And we continue to meet with that 1HL group, usually on Sunday nights on Zoom like this, to one, just talk about how are things going on our campuses, and then two, what can we do as a league to lift up and support what you're doing? And then are there some things we should be doing league-wide across all of our campuses? So definitely more work to be done on that, but I think we've made a very heartfelt, good first step.
Awesome. And listen, I think that the things that you guys have done with the Horizon League can definitely be mirrored for some of our other conferences and some of our other community organizations and companies to share the ability to listen to the consumer, right? And our consumer is our student athletes. So listening to them and what they want and what they need is definitely the right way to go. And that's in my opinion. And of course, as evidence is in your opinion and those of the Horizon League. So commended you on that. Back to basketball. There's a question from one of our attendees on being able to watch games. So what's the protocol this time for our championship on possibly after I play, let's say I play in the first game, do I have to leave the stadium and go leave? Or if I'm an attendee and I'm watching someone play, do I have to leave before the next game, or can I watch all of the games that come after? So do you have we're getting real time.
I had to use my lifeline because Cam Fuller, who I don't know if you can see, but he's waving back there.
There we go. We see him.
Cam's really the brains behind this tournament operation, and I just confirmed my thumbs up over to him, and he said that they can watch. So
awesome.
We do have a lot of space here because we're not allowing fans.
Yes.
So there will be a space where if teams want to stay and watch, they can.
That's awesome. So, and speaking of the teams watching, and
socially distanced and masked, by the way. So
there you
go.
As
long as we're masked up, we're okay.
As long as you're masked up. So attendees, if you want to, and players, if you want to watch the games after yours, make sure you are masked up and that your wingspans are a lot longer than mine. Right. So stick with your wingspans and make sure that you are not that close to one another. Speaking of the games and not having fans here, how does my mom, my auntie, after we win our game or we win the championship, what do we have available for our student athletes and our players to connect with their family members in their cheering sections?
Yeah, so we and of course all the games are on the ESPN family of networks, and then we have been able to arrange with our partners here at the fairgrounds a Zoom, and there'll be a screen set up actually close to the basket here so that family members can watch the on-court celebration, but then watch the cutting of the nets as well. And then we're trying to also figure out a way so that student athletes can see their family members and interact on the Zoom. So we're it's not the same, we know that, but we really want the family members to see that celebratory moment and be a part of it to the extent that they can in a safe way.
Yes, that's important for students athletes. I mean, we know that sometimes it's the people yelling your name and screaming for you that gives you that extra push when you're a little tired. But again, we're taking precautions, making sure that everyone stays as safe as possible so that we can have a successful championship series. So kudos to you. So it's not just men that are playing basketball, but for some reason people always think about March Madness as men's basketball.
Not me.
Not you. Some other Neanderthals.
Okay.
But they're women playing as well, and we have a women's championship series as well. So talk to me about what it's like for our women athletes. Have we had any of our women athletes that have shown or have been appreciative of a lot of the things? We are making sure that they have the same experience as our male athletes. So is there anything that we want to say to our women athletes that sometimes get a little bit of the backseat?
Well, that's as a former women's basketball student athlete, my commitment has been that the women and men's experience here is the same. And that's really, it's the semifinals, it's the women's semifinals and the men's, and the women's champ and the men's. And we're excited that our women's champ game is live on ESPNU. And that's a great way for them to experience some linear coverage. But in terms of, women's basketball and Horizon League is strong. Our conference net rank a few years ago shot up, I think, to 13th, which was really terrific. We've had some perennial teams, and this year we had 3 or 4 teams getting votes in the mid-major polls. We've really, Green Bay, hats off to the long-standing run that Green Bay's had. This is the first semifinal in a very long time that Green Bay's not here. And that's not because Green Bay's not good. That's because we've got Cleveland State that beat them on Green Bay's court. And then we've got Wright State, and Katrina's just built an incredible program there. And Kyle at Milwaukee, same thing. She's really built an incredible program. So we've got some strong women's basketball in this league. And then of course, IUPUI, they came into the league and they made immediate noise as a new member. And then of course they're our reigning champion from last year. And I'm sure they're hungry for a title, another title, since they weren't able to compete in the NCAA March Madness. So we're going to see some great action on the women's side. They're going to battle. And then, as we've already talked about on the men's side, if the quarterfinals are any indication, I think we're going to have some great games all around.
Yes, that's awesome. And that's what we want to see. We want to see great competition all around from the men's and the women's side. And again, appreciative of all of our student athletes for coming and being a part of this. As we know, some student athletes have opted out for some of these opportunities because of the COVID virus. What is it for our student athletes that we want to send them with? What is it that the Horizon League, when they graduate, when they are done with playing their sport for our particular league in their college career and move on to whatever their next endeavors are in life, what do we want to leave them with, and how do we want them to remember the Horizon League?
I think, I mean, really college sports, yes, you want to compete and have a great opportunity. We really want to transform lives. And that's not just a lofty phrase. We mean it, because sport really is a leadership. I mean, we are, like they say, the court is a classroom. I believe that, because that was my experience. I learned a lot more leadership skills playing basketball than I did reading books or listening to lectures or taking exams. I think what happens out here can be so special and transformative that's what we want. We want our Horizon Lake student athletes, whether they're on the soccer field, in the swimming pool, on the tennis courts, on the basketball court, to gain real leadership skills and frankly gain confidence, because we all need that. As you know,
Yeah,
it's a hard
yeah.
world out there, and the more that we can build up our student athletes so they can go on and be the best person they can be, that's what this is all about.
Awesome, awesome. And I want our student athletes again. We have a few more minutes, so if you have any questions, please put them in our Q&A section. But I want our student athletes to really understand that we are true to being open. We have challenged you, Julie, from where you are, to shoot a basket in the basket in your background. We no, I'm
For
just kidding.
real?
No, no, don't worry. We didn't plan that. I don't want Cam sweating about you trying to throw a
I
basket.
mean, I don't know if my jump's not going to be real great, but I could probably hit a layup
You
if
can
you
probably
guys
hit it later.
don't believe me.
No, we really appreciate you. And again, it is close to 7:30 on a Saturday evening in Indianapolis, and you are there showing your dedication to the
Oh yeah, my
championship.
pleasure, my privilege. And likewise, you're volunteering. This is part of my job. We just appreciate you. And I don't know if everybody understands this, but when our tournament came here, LeRoy, you and other leaders in this community stepped up and said, we want to support this event.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
we know that you came to Indy because it's a destination city and it's centrally located, and we want your student athletes to love it here. And
exactly.
last year, over 90% of the student athletes that came here gave rave reviews in their exit survey. And that is an A.
That is an
And
A.
that's because of you and the other leaders on that group, Dennis Dye and Andy Connor, and now Andy Klein's joined the fold. I mean, we've got some incredible people who've stepped up and said, what can we do so that this is great for student athletes? How do we make the police escorts happen? How do
Right.
we make sure the hotel is that when they walk in, they know that they're in a championship tournament hotel? So we appreciate you too, because we couldn't do it without you.
Well, thank you so very much for that. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure of mine to work with individuals like you and the rest of the team over at the Horizon League. We really want our student athletes, and what we don't want you to walk away from not knowing is how much we appreciate you being here in Indianapolis. First and foremost, congratulations on the opportunity and the competition that you've played and winning to get to this point. But being here in Indianapolis, we are welcoming you with open arms, making sure that you have an exciting opportunity here and an exciting time here. We want our student athletes that come to Indianapolis to experience all of what Indianapolis has to offer. Unfortunately, because of the COVID virus, we're not able to put our arms around you, hug you, show you the city, and show you what all Indianapolis has to offer. But we wanted to make sure, first and foremost, that you had a chance to ask our commissioner any questions that you had, to hear from our commissioner, to learn from our commissioner, and to make sure that you got a chance to hang with the commissioner of the Horizon League. So we really appreciate you for being here, Julie. Thank you so much for taking your time out. Wait a minute,
Hey,
there's a basketball in your hand.
You want to end with a make here,
We're
right?
going to end our conversation. So we got to stay
I'm going
on
to sign
until
off,
Julie
and I'm going to go
makes
try to make a
the
layup.
make the layup. Thank you so much, Julie.
Thanks,
If you
LeRoy.
miss, it's going to be an embarrassing segment now.
Well, I mean, I'm just padding my stats if I miss. I'll at least get through again and put it in.
All right, go for it,
Thank
Commissioner.
you, everyone.
Thank
All
you so
right.
much. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. There we go. Awesome. 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 Thank you, guys. You just saw the commissioner of the Horizon League make a layup after getting her own offensive rebound. So that was awesome.
It's the shoes.
It's always the shoes, and they weren't ready. You didn't pump them up, so I understand.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Julie.
Thanks, LeRoy.
Thank you, attendees, for being here, and our student athletes for making it to Indianapolis. Welcome to the Hoosier State and the Hoosier City. Welcome to some great basketball, and reach for the horizon in your championship quest. Have a great night and a great championship series. Bye-bye.
Thanks.